Now, I had actually already had the audio for this video being processed, but as it was processing, I just decided to re record the whole thing, even though it's almost 2 in the morning, and that video was already around 25 minutes long. I probably really should have just scripted this thing, but yeah, I wanted to talk about this before going to sleep tonight. Now, earlier tonight, I watched Naruto Shippuden's 450th episode for like the third time. I'm probably going to breathe too much in this video, excuse me. But yeah, doing so got me in the mood to make this video, which I feel is more personal than how my Naruto videos usually are. And yeah, episode 450, I've talked about it multiple times before, and I'll go more in depth with it later on. It's the final episode of the Tsukuyomi filler arc of Shippuden, which I actually started watching damn near 3 years ago, episode by episode. Although, yes, guys, I know this arc is way older than that. It first came out in late September, I believe, of 2015. And yeah, next month will be the 10-year anniversary of the saga's final episode, if not the month after that. So yeah, I'm quite late to the party to be watching this. I was quite late to the party to be checking it out. But just so you guys know, even though I've liked Naruto for like almost my entire life, there was a time where I was where most of my knowledge and probably experience as well with the show was from the video games. Probably mostly the Wii games to be more specific. So yeah, like probably most of Naruto I've been quite late to the party to experience, and this arc right here is no exception, despite it being filler. And yeah, like I'm saying, I've been quite late. I was years late for to be watching this, but as I've said probably too many times, better late than never. Am I right? Although I guess this arc isn't the most appropriate thing to say that with, because not only is it heavily hated, but I don't like it that much. Even though I might have made myself sound like in certain old videos from like a couple of years ago, making myself sound like that I like this arc more than I do. But you know, I think the more time goes by and the more I get older, I think the more I understand not only why this arc is hated, but like the less I like it as well. Yeah, okay. So, what do I want to talk about next? I really should have scripted this. Okay, so like I said before, I first started watching this arc episode by episode, nearly damn near 3 years ago, more specifically. Next month will be the 3 year anniversary of when I started watching this saga off Adult Swim. And the first episode of this arc was the second episode that Adult Swim had aired since I started keeping up with them on the show. Since okay, we moved. I talked about this before, but we moved out of this apartment in like January of 2023. We had moved out of this apartment in which we stayed at for like 5 years, and throughout most of that year, we were staying at a few hotels. And shortly after we had moved out of that apartment, there was this little thing that I would like to do on Saturday nights, and that was watch Naruto Shippuden off Adult Swim. And also, by the way, that show was also the only thing I would give a crud to watch off Tsunami pretty much, even though there were some times where I would have the end of a One Piece episode get me ready for Naruto to be airing next. But yeah, Shippuden, that was like the only thing I would care to watch off Tsunami at the time. And apparently it was also filler that would be the only thing I care to watch off Tsunami at the time too. Because throughout most of the time, me, my father, and two of my siblings were staying at hotels that year. Adult Swim was airing like exclusively, like almost just this Tsukuyomi filler arc, which initially ran for 5 months, I believe. But this arc they were on for 6 months because there were some Saturdays where they postponed airing certain Naruto episodes to do something special like a marathon or something on Toonami. But yeah, Adult Swim had me in Tsukuyomi Fillerville for 6 months, and I guess you could argue that it was my fault since I decided to keep up with them on the show and all. But yeah, okay, let me go more in depth with my experience with this arc and my opinion on it. All right, let me just go more. Okay, oh man, I really should have scripted this. Okay, let me just start from the very beginning of this arc. The first two episodes of the saga. Those two 10-10 centric episodes that they started this arc off with. The 10-10 Tsukuyomi filler stuff. I remember watching both of those episodes off Adult Swim. And by the way, I actually saw both episodes off two different hotels. But yeah, I watched both episodes off Adult Swim, and they were both whatever. They were both whatever. Now, okay, I guess it's cool that they gave 10-10, a character who gets made fun of a lot for lack of screen time, her own episodes like that. And there was some stuff I thought was kind of cool, like some stuff I thought was like kind of cool and funny about this arc. Like for example, the reincarnations of certain characters and a 10-10 Tsukuyomi thing. But like overall, yeah, like nothing about these two episodes were cool enough to make me want to watch them again. And I haven't seen either of them in nearly 3 years, so I guess that just goes to show. And then we have the Killer Bee episodes, the two the Killer Bee Shippuden things, or whatever they called those episodes. I watched them off Adult Swim, and okay, now I've made now, even though I remember having one of these episodes on that one list I did in celebration of New Year's Eve 2023, that was about my favorite Naruto Shippuden episodes that Adult Swim had aired that year. Now, I haven't seen that video in a while, but I remember one of the entries I had on that list. Like, I had at least quite a few Tsukuyomi filler episodes on that list. And the first of those two Killer Bee episodes was one of them. And yeah, even though now that I think about like those two Killer Bee episodes are like pretty much the same as the 10-10 ones, but at least a little bit better. Like I do remember thinking, like at least the first of these two Killer Bee episodes was at least kind of cool. At least kind of cool with Killer Bee teaming up with Naruto and Gaara and all. But as for the second episode, mind you guys, I like barely remember anything about the second Killer Bee episode, like barely. And if I'm correct, I paid full attention to this episode when I watched it off Adult Swim the night they premiered it. So yeah, just a really forgettable episode, I guess. But yeah, I guess that episode, I do remember that episode being worse than the previous one, but that's like the main thing I remember with my opinion on it. And yeah, but I like barely remember anything about that one though. Like I do remember having Orochimaru and having a screenshot that I would see a Shrek spoof in Spanish use of Naruto himself. But yeah, I like barely remember anything about that one. And then they did an episode about Karine, and I thought that episode was pretty whatever too. Like probably more whatever than all those last four episodes. Even though there was some stuff I thought was pretty intriguing, like Sasuke, I believe, doing his Lion's Barrage in the woods, for example. Excuse me. And then we move on to a different part of the saga, in which we have the part one characters, like running around in the woods and fighting Akatsuki members and all. And yeah, I think I did think that part of the arc was better. I do remember myself saying that I enjoyed that arc on this one video that I remember being excited to make for a while, which was talking about episodes 426 to 454 of the show. Even though, yeah, for the most part, that part, like that part of the arc was pretty whatever. Even though I do remember really enjoying episode 433, that one episode that ended with Naruto being stabbed by Hidan, and I even did a list of my favorite parts of that episode as well. And I did think the episode where Neji sees his father was pretty cool. And by the way, I think the arc in general gets better around that time. But yeah, overall, like this part of the arc was like pretty whatever. There was some stuff I thought was kind of cool. Like, I do remember thinking, I think I thought it was like kind of cool. Seeing Naruto and Neji like in that like vortex thing or something for like a couple of episodes or whatever it was that they were stuck in. And but yeah, for the most part, this arc was pretty whatever. And I do remember there being certain times where I would where I would at least be almost bored watching it. Yeah, not very exciting, but yes, like I said, I thought the arc got better around the time Neji saw his father, and then we get into more of like the Shippuden era of the saga, and we see Naruto and Sasuke training. And this was around my summer vacation at the time, by the way. Yeah, so like that was like the main part of Naruto I was watching during that summer vacation. The more Shippuden era of the Tsukuyomi filler saga, and yeah, I saw them do these episodes of Naruto and Sasuke training, and then chasing after Sasuke to build up to them having their final battle together. in filler version. And I do remember thinking the episode where Sasuke like joins a police like force or something. I do remember seeing that episode on the night of Father's Day's Eve of 2023. And yeah, maybe I didn't think it was an amazing episode, but still, I thought it was cool. I thought it was cool seeing them like focus more on the Shippuden reincarnations of the characters in that filler arc and seeing Sasuke join the prison and all. I do think that would be another one of the better episodes of the arc. And I do remember seeing like episodes after that of like them chasing after Sasuke and all that stuff, and like seeing them like go through the woods, Lee like activate the gates and all. And yeah, I remember thinking that stuff was cool, and seeing I guess I remember thinking it was cool seeing the stuff before that with Naruto and Sasuke training in their part while they're in their part one versions of themselves. And yeah, all that stuff I was watching like throughout that summer was like building up to episode 446. My favorite episode of this arc. Yeah, this is a big one. This is a big one. This is my favorite episode of this arc, but there is a catch to it. All right. So I first saw this whole episode off Adult Swim when they premiered it during one night. I believe it was like mid to late July of 2023. And I thought the episode started off okay at the first half, but then at the second half, when Adult Swim got out of commercial, I thought it quickly got so much better with Naruto getting past Yamato and going up on the roof to fight Sasuke. Yeah, I remember seeing the second half of that episode and being blown away by it. Like I thought it looked so cool. I remember like yeah, that episode like made my night that night. Like made that night. I thought it was so cool seeing Naruto and Sasuke fight each other on live TV like that. And yeah, have I rewatched that episode since? Yeah. In fact, that episode is one of the only episodes of that arc that I watched from start to finish since, I watched it off Adult Swim. Same with the other Naruto versus Sasuke episode, which I'll talk more about later. And I also remember having episode 400, 439, I believe, like on subbed in the background one day during July of 2024. Yeah, like it was like the start of July of 2024. But yeah, let me talk more about episode 446. I saw it off Adult Swim, thought it was amazing, and I praised it multiple times in my videos before. And yeah, like I just said before, I also went back to that episode before. The first time I rewatched that episode, this one time I rewatched that whole episode from start to finish was during this one night of February of 2024. The same night Adult Swim had aired episode 477 of the show. And yeah, I was like watching that episode to, help get me in while I was in excitement to see Adult Swim premiere that episode and all that stuff. And yeah, I thought that episode would be a good episode to watch despite it being filler. It's still like a big Naruto versus Sasuke episode. So yeah, I rewatched that episode and still really liked it. I definitely wasn't as blown away by it as I was the first time watching it because, I knew at least some of the stuff that was going to come up. But yeah, I still thought it was a really cool episode there. And then I went back to the final fight of that episode, possibly a few times off my laptop since then. And yeah, the more I go back to that fight, like I still think it's a cool episode. That is still my favorite episode of that arc. But now after going back to it multiple times, yeah, it's like not as nearly as cool as it was the first time I watched it. Like the first time I watched it off Adult Swim, I was like in love. I was in love with that episode. I thought it was so cool. But now, like the more I watch it, the less amazed I am by it, and the more I understand it's like a more of like a lazily worse done version of Naruto and Sasuke's final battle from part one Naruto. Like it's still a cool episode, but it's nowhere near as cool as it was the first time I watched it. Maybe I should have only watched it once. And yeah, that's like why that's like this little thing that was like, by the way, one of my biggest fears back when I was in high school. And that's like me experiencing something, particularly in animation, too many times to the point where I get a little tired of it and I could never enjoy it as much as I did the first time experiencing it. Yeah, that was a pretty big fear for me back when I was in high school, honestly. Now, okay, I've gotten at least a bit over that fear during this past like year or so, but still, yeah, that was a big fear for me when I was in high school. And going back to that episode a few times, yeah, it's still a cool episode, but it can never be as good as it was the first time I experienced it. But hey, it's still another one of the better episodes of the arc, I'd say. And then I remember as that summer vacation continued, before going to transition school, I would see episodes of them like reanimating, doing a reanimated version of Naruto versus Pain, and him talking to Nagato, and him getting to talk to Kushina. And I remember them airing this one episode during early August that, by the way, aired during the same night. Me, two of my siblings, and my father were watching the first two Shrek movies off of one channel. I forgot the name of it, but it was like off of a random channel that I don't think we ever went to before. And later during that same night, I was out in like the living room of the hotel room we were staying at the time, watching that 449th episode where they're up against Sasori and all that, and they continue to build up to another Naruto versus Sasuke fight. And then we get episode 450, not only the last episode of this arc, but also the last episode that Adult Swim had aired during my summer vacation that year, before I started my first day of transition school. I watched that episode out in the living room with I think my brother being asleep, and like my little sister Josie being on her phone or something, and my father also being asleep in that bedroom that we had at the hotel at the time. And yeah, I was watching that episode off Adult Swim, and watching that episode for the first time as it premiered. I thought that episode was cool. I thought that episode was cool. I do remember thinking it was worse than episode 446 because I thought it relied a little too much on flashbacks and all, but I still thought it was a really cool episode. And I've went back to the episode a couple times since that night too. Like there was one time during my brother's birthday in 2024 when I put that episode on in the living room TV at one of the houses we stayed at. I do remember putting that episode on and still thought it was cool there. And yeah, I also think I went back to like one of the scenes during like at least one of the scenes after Naruto and Sasuke's fight during that arc earlier this year as well. And like I said, way like at the beginning of this video, I saw that episode for like the third time, or I guess, yeah, like the third time from like start to finish. I mean, even though it might have been fully from start to finish since I went over to go talk to my older brother Jacob for like a couple parts of it. But yeah, I still think I had experienced enough of the episode to get a refreshment on it. And yeah, I still think it's a cool episode. But like episode 446, definitely not as cool as it was the first time I watched it. And yeah, I still think it's worse than episode 446. Like, it might have more original Naruto versus Sasuke choreography than that episode, but like, I still think episode 446 is better. However, both of these episodes, I think, suffer a bit in rewatchability. And yeah, I think episode 446, I think before I claimed it was S tier, but now looking back at it, I think it's more of like an A tier for me. Maybe not a very high A tier either. And at like episode 450, on the other hand, I think maybe that could be like a high B tier at best. Like they're both cool episodes. Those two episodes are still my favorite episodes of the arc. But like I don't think at least one of them, well, if not both of them, are worth watching when there are much better canon fights between Naruto and Sasuke in the Naruto shows. So yeah, overall, the Tsukuyomi filler arc, I think, at least for the most part, is pretty whatever, like not worth re-examining. I might have liked it more in older videos, but now that I think about it deeper, yeah, this arc really isn't that great, and I think I'd say that every filler arc that Shippuden did after this was probably better, especially if it's like the Indra and Ashura filler arc and those Itachi story episodes they did before that, and the Sasuke story ones. Pardon me if any of those are canon and I mistakenly called them filler, but yeah, overall, this Tsukuyomi filler arc, it might be cool for like a nostalgia type of thing, an 18-year-old nostalgia. type of thing to fondly look back at what my life was like back in 2023 when we were staying at hotels. Back when I was doing that canceled Shadow Shrek series, and during that summer I was doing that Toy Story spoof project, that Toy Story spoof series thing, in which I had Sasuke be Buzz and my boy Moxie from Hell of a Boss be Woody, and I was also doing other video projects. And I remember at that time Naruto was my favorite show to watch off live TV because unlike a bunch of other shows like the likes of King of the Hill and Gumball, for example, it was only on once a week, whereas those shows were on all the time. And yeah, I remember that was like my favorite thing to do during the weekend. That was a pretty exciting experience for me. But like, yeah, in terms of rewatchability, I don't think this arc is the best in terms of rewatchability. However, I do have an idea of what I would like to do for this arc. What I would at least maybe like to do for this arc in the future. Okay, I don't want to make any promises, so this video doesn't age like milk or anything. But okay, so since it's already been a couple of years since I've watched most of this arc, I think I want to wait at least like 3 more years to rewatch this arc. Okay, so we're in the year 2026. Okay, so let's say I wait until at least 2029. Like let's say maybe around the time around like the anniversary of when I started keeping up with Adult Swim on over the last 70 episodes of Naruto Shippuden, and I nostalgically look back on this arc. I give this arc a nostalgic revisit and like have the early adult Jaden like nostalgia thing be hitting pretty hard and all that stuff. Finally look back at my 18-year-old era. By the way, like when I graduated from school that year, forgot to mention that before, and that was a big part of my life too. That was a great memory, graduating from high school that year. But yeah. Basically, what I'm saying is I rewatch every episode of this arc, and like I do it every Saturday night, like how I watch them off Adult Swim, and I rewatch every episode of this arc during every Saturday night, and it'd be something I look forward to doing on Saturday nights again to get the nostalgia rolling. And yeah, basically it would be me setting up my own little Naruto time capsule box. And yeah, basically, if I watch any episode of this arc, especially from start to finish during these like next few years or so, I would be opening that time capsule box. But at least as of right now, I want every episode of this filler Tsukuyomi saga out of my face for a while and put into this nice little Naruto time capsule box that I'm making. And in a few years, Jaden could be like revisiting every episode of this arc every Saturday night watch it from start to finish for like at least like 5 months or something, looking at that's how long they initially spent on this arc. And even if I like regret the idea or something, like even if I regret the idea or something as I'm watching through this arc, I could just like, I don't know, maybe skip episodes or something, or just like completely drop the idea altogether. Or heck, well, it would only be like an over 20-minute thing for every Saturday night, especially as long as I'm not pausing the episode or rewinding it or anything. So yeah, that's my possible future plan for Naruto Shippuden's filler Tsukuyomi arc. Make it into a time capsule box. That's something that's not for me to open. And at least 3 years from now, it could be more than that. It could be 4 years from now. It could be 5 years from now. Who knows? But since I haven't revisited most of this arc in a couple of years, I believe I can make it possible for me to like not revisit it for another few years. So yeah, I still got like well over 450 episodes of Shippuden that I can watch, and all of Part 1 Naruto and all that stuff. Yeah, I think I can survive without this arc. Like, I've been too lazy to rewatch most of it anyway, so yeah, it shouldn't really make that big of a difference in my life. Like I said before, I don't think it's that great of an arc. If it's that great of an arc for anything, it'd probably be in terms of like early adult nostalgia for me. So yeah, this is my Naruto time capsule box right here of the filler Tsukuyomi saga, and this is something that's not for Jaden to open in a few years, but if this plan like doesn't end up happening or doesn't end up working out or something, I guess I'd like to let you guys know. But yeah, there you all have it. And that's my overall thoughts on the Tsukuyomi filler arc. Yes, I could have this video be a part of my Naruto Shippuden thoughts videos playlist, but I'd rather just like leave that playlist finished as it has been for like over for like a year and a half at this point. And right now, I am pretty passionate about making this arc my Naruto time capsule box. But yeah, we'll see how things go. But right now, I am feeling pretty damn good about that idea, and I explained it pretty well as my opinion on the arc pretty well, I guess. So I'm just gonna drop the video off from here, get it edited and uploaded, and yeah, I should be getting my butt to bed. So bye, everyone. If you want to, you can let me know in the comment section down below what you think of this video or what you think of this filler saga from Naruto, if you've seen it. And yeah, I'm about to sign off. Good night, everyone.